I don't know any Chinese. How difficult will it be living in Xiamen? I remember one of the biggest issues was payments and money. Hot tip that I have not seen many people actually talk about. Can you work in China while studying? The official answer is no. The unofficial answer is... I studied Mandarin at Xiamen University for a year and a half, and honestly, there are so many things I wish I knew before I came here. I've been getting a lot of DMs from you guys lately about what it's really like to study here, so in this video, I am answering your questions and sharing my best tips to help you survive and actually enjoy your time in China. So if you're thinking about studying here, you've actually just arrived, or you're just curious about what student life in China is really like, this video is for you. Timestamps down below. Let's get into it. All right, the first question on our list is the question that I probably get asked the most by people wanting to come to China, and that is, what apps should I download before arriving to China? There are a whole number of apps that you should probably download before you come here, and I've actually, coincidentally, made a video about which apps you should download, so I'm gonna leave a link for that here. It's all in that video. Go watch it, come back. Next question, how easy is it to use Wechat and Alipay to pay for things? Should I bring cash? If so, how much? Can I use my student card to pay on campus? A little bit to unpack here. Yes, you can use Wechat and Alipay, but I would recommend setting up and binding a Visa card or a MasterCard to Alipay or Wechat. I'm pretty sure you can do both. When we started, I remember one of the biggest issues for all 80 of the cohort of foreign students was payments and money. A lot of people couldn't get Wechat to work. I couldn't get Wechat to work. I had to do it a number of times. I had to recreate some Wechats. My advice here would be to use the name that is on your passport letter for letter when signing up for Wechat, because when you do the real name verification and stuff, I think that's what it goes by, and then put the same name on your bank account when you actually end up opening a bank account here. Should you bring cash? Yes. I would recommend that if you go to any country to travel, you should probably bring some cash. Ideally, bring some renminbi, so bring some Chinese local currency. And actually, hot tip, I didn't get my first scholarship payment until the end of November. And we started at the start of September. So there's September, October, November that I had to pay for things just using my own money. So I would recommend bringing at least, 3 months worth of living expenses. What does that equate to? Well, it depends on how you live, but I would say if you bring 10,000 renminbi, you're probably going to be sweet. And the final part of that question is, can I use my student card to pay on campus? Yes, you can, and it's actually the most convenient way to do things if you're on Xiamen University campus. I'm not sure what it's like on other campuses, but I'm pretty sure they all have very similar systems. If you want to do that, you need to download an app, and this app is called Xiaolinglong. Go up to Google, type in Xiaolinglong. And there's a bunch of different websites that you can download this from. This is one of them. There's a QR code here. Scan the QR code and you should get a page that looks something like this, where you can download the iOS or the Android version. And then you can download that, you bind your Alipay to it or your Wechat, and then you can top up money on this app, and that goes directly to your student card. Then you can use your student card to pay for things like the canteen, like for food. The canteen actually doesn't take Wechat or Alipay. It does take UnionPay, but I never figured that out. So if you have UnionPay, then you can use that. Otherwise, it's all student card for food on campus. All right, this question I have received a number of times, and it's got an interesting answer, and I have a little bit of a story to tell about it. Can you work in China while studying? So the official answer is no, you cannot. If you're on a student visa, you cannot officially work legally in China. The unofficial answer is some people do it. I'm not condoning that in any way. If you want to risk your visa getting cancelled and getting deported, then you can try it. But yeah, wouldn't recommend doing it. However, there is a way that I have researched previously to do an internship. The original plan when I came to China was I was working full-time for a company. They are a global company and they have offices in China, and they even have an office here in Xiamen. I had talked with them and they had offered me a role here, and I just said, hey, it'd be cool if we could do this internship thing that I can do when I'm on a student visa. And I did a lot of research, and there's actually there's a website here that I found. There are legal paths, apparently, according to this, to do it. You do need the acceptance or approval of your company and then also the university. I had company approval. I did not have university approval. They just flat out rejected it. And the reason was it was not related to what I was studying, because I was studying Chinese language and then I'd be working in the construction industry. So they couldn't see how those two were related. I thought it'd be a really good opportunity for me to not only learn Chinese that you learn in the classroom, but also learn Chinese that is spoken in a business environment, because it would be a fully Chinese environment. So I tried to make that case. Didn't end up working out, but ultimately I found my better path in creating content, and I'm having a bunch of fun doing this. Don't think I'll be going back to full-time work in the construction industry anytime soon. You can always go back to work, guys. Like, if you've got heaps of experience in a certain industry and you take a career break for a year, 2 years, 5 years, I mean, that experience still counts for something. You can always go back to your previous job, and there's plenty of jobs on the market. So I'm going to continue down this path. Anyway, that kind of got off track, but let's get back to these questions. All right, what are the differences between living on a dorm? Bruh. What are the differences between living in a dorm on campus versus living in an apartment? Are there any apartments nearby campus, and do you need to organize an apartment beforehand? I lived on campus for 1 year, and then for my final semester, I actually moved off campus. In these dorms, there are 2 beds, so there's 2 people in one room, and then there's like 4 rooms in each apartment. So there's technically like 8 people in a dorm, if you like, with shared living space and a shared bathroom area. The quality is not amazing, but to be honest, I have lived in a car for a year and a half. So for me, I just really didn't care. And I thought the pros of actually being on campus and being close to class, being close to other students, and having that like connection where you can all like sort out problems together, I think that was a huge benefit. At Xiamen University, they provided the full cost. So the dorm was for free for the year, or they give you, I think it's 700 RMB to go off campus and actually find an apartment off campus. Regarding social life and I guess living near people, there's pros and then there's also cons. The cons being you have to deal with foreigners who like to party, and everyone in my dorm was fine, but the above and the below were the issues. 4:20 in the morning. And this noise, whatever it is vibrating my whole room. And it's coming from upstairs, as usual. You just don't know who's going to be above you. You don't know who's going to be below you. You don't know who's going to be next to you. These walls are thin and you can hear everything. People here go to bed at like 4, 5, get up at 6. Like, I'm not joking. People tell me that. Oh yeah, I'll go to bed at 4 and then wake up at 6. What? Mate, how are you not dead? Like, go get some sleep, you crazy people. I would tell the teachers, I would go up, I would try to talk to them, but they just love to party, these guys. And you might get something similar if you live in the dorms, so be prepared for that. The final part of that question, do you need to organize an apartment beforehand? Is it easy to get one? Actually, I don't think you need to. In China, every single apartment I have found, I have literally gone and searched for the apartments on the day and signed the contract on the day. So I'm just gonna go for a bit of a wander around here and I guess just look and see where clothes are hanging in the things, and just see if any of them will take any people to live. 你好，你们有租房吗？
租房的话，你再打个电话问一下。
哦，打个电话吗？好。
要不旁边也有吗？
旁边也有吗？啊，就是一个人。
一个人呢？
对对对。
要不要厨房？
厨房？要
厨房的话，
要。
那你看。
好。All right. Cool. 850 a month, which actually ends up being 150 a month with the scholarship payment. This literally took all of about 5 minutes to sign this contract. I then have to go to the police station, take my passport, and just register my accommodation. And then after that, I can go into the university system and apply for the scholarship, like funding payment thing. super easy, guys. Like, really not that difficult. China is kind of going through a bit of a supply and demand thing with apartments. There is a ton of supply on the market, so that kind of pushes prices a little bit lower, and also there's heaps of availability. So yeah, would I recommend living on campus? Yes. Would I recommend living off campus? Yeah. They've both got pros, they've both got cons. I'll leave it up to you to decide. Is there a curfew for the dorms? At Xiamen University, no. I don't believe so. It's a face scan to actually get into the university. That works at all hours. From my knowledge, my experience, there is no curfew at Xiamen University. Is it easy to find cleaners that will come and clean your apartment? Yes, it is very easy. Anywhere you go in China, wherever you live, there's always going to be some rubbish bins somewhere that are out the front of your apartment. And every morning you go out and you see these very, very diligent, hardworking AIs who are separating all the rubbish from the rubbish bin. And what I did is when I was on campus, I would see these people, I would talk to them every once in a while, and I just asked them if they're available to come and clean our dorm for, I think it was 50 yuan, I don't think they went around and just sprayed the whole thing and did some cleaning of the windows and all that sort of stuff. But yeah, pretty easy. Just find an IE somewhere, or even just ask other students. We just split the cost in our little group WeChat that we had for our dorm. We split the cost of the communal area, and yeah, it was 50 yuan, so very, very cheap. Is it easy to have friends over in the dormitories? Depends what you mean. If you're talking about other friends who live in other dormitories on campus, that's pretty easy because they can just scan their own student card and get into any of the dorms, I think. Or maybe they don't work for other dorms. I'm not sure. But if you really want to, you're not meant to, but you can just scan your card and then just kind of pretend like the next person behind you didn't scan their card. They don't really look too diligently at that sort of thing, although they did have a crackdown at one point where they were making everyone swipe in. So if you're talking about bringing your parents or someone to actually come and visit you in the dorms, yes, that is possible, but you need to actually apply beforehand to get them on campus. And then I think they can just follow you in because they're your family after all. They can come see where you live and stuff. That's fine. Here's some more random questions that I just got asked. I'm not sure if they're relevant to everyone, but I'll answer them anyway. Where is the closest outdoor swimming location? Or where else can I go to swim? In Xiang'an campus, I don't think there's too many outdoor places to swim. I think the closest place to swim would probably be the beach. That's about 40 minutes or 50 minutes by bus away, or like a half an hour taxi, something like that. On campus though, they do have a swimming pool that is right next to the gym. And I think to get into there, you need to do a skin test, some sort of skin test. They test for a bunch of diseases or something in your skin. They give you a card and then you can get into that swimming pool. So they do have on-site facilities for swimming if that is what you're into. In the TU Guan, they also have a gym. They have badminton courts, ping pong tables, everything you can think of really. But all those sorts of things you need to book. I would just ask a teacher or ask one of your friends how to book the gym. This next question is, I don't know any Chinese. How difficult will it be living in Xiamen or in China in general? Probably pretty difficult. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. A lot of things, it depends where you go, right? If you're going to go to somewhere like Beijing or Shanghai, then there are going to be a lot of people who already speak English and they're probably going to be able to help you out. If you're coming to a place like Xiamen or maybe Kunming or one of those other cities that is, where English is less common, then yes, you might have a bit of a tough time. Download your VPN beforehand, download Google Translate. Also, hot tip that I have not seen many people actually talk about. In WeChat, I'm going to record my screen here. When you open up WeChat and you are using any of the mini apps that are inside WeChat, of which there are many. Let's say ordering a coffee. Go to the top here, the three little dots, right? Scroll across until you see translation. Tap translation and voila, everything. Well, not everything, but down the bottom you can see menu. Go to menu, there it is. So everything now is translated. The translations can be actually quite funny, so it's actually a bit of a fun experience to actually use this translation app. Jacques Chifi Americano. Not sure about that. Don't know what that actually means, feather jacket light. Anyway, you get an idea of like what you're actually going to be eating. So this is actually super handy. And I didn't even know this until like 9 months into my time here. So that is a hot take that I think would be very, very helpful if you don't know any Chinese here. I do know a lot of people that, you know, they didn't know any Chinese and they're coming to Xiamen University to get straight into the bottom level of learning Chinese, and they figured things out fine. You just need to know how to use Google Translate. That works pretty well. Or you can just use this in-app WeChat Translate for WeChat mini apps. And that is actually really, really helpful too. So good luck. What advice do I have for getting the most out of my experience learning Chinese at Xiamen University? I think this is probably going to be like a broad tip for anyone that is coming to study Chinese at any Chinese university. I personally think that the quality of the teacher usually dictates the quality of the experience and the quality of the teaching that you're going to have. I had some good teachers, I had some bad teachers, and I had some really, really good teachers. You know, those ones that really, really care about you, that are really empathetic, they take into account what your learning goals are. Those sorts of teachers are the ones you want. What I would recommend is, and you know, it's September now, so people are just starting to get into their classes, or at least I think this is orientation week. For your actual Chinese learning main classes, I would recommend going to maybe one above and one below, as well as attending your class that they put you in. In the first week, I just attended all 3 of those classes, checked out all the different teachers for speaking, for writing, and for just the main class, and saw which teachers I most gelled with. It's not very hard to just say, hey, I would like to push myself if you want to go up a level, or I think this class is not at my level and I would like to go down a level if you want to do that. That would be my recommendation if you are just starting out. Test out all the classes, see which teachers you gel with, and then pick that class. That's probably my top tip. How difficult is it to make friends while studying at Xiamen University? Okay, there's 2 types of friends you can make: foreign and local Chinese friends. Foreign friends, super easy to make foreign friends. And I know people who have literally made no Chinese friends the entire time and just, you know, stuck with the English groups. And you can get into a kind of a trap if you know, just hang out with people who speak English. You're probably not going to learn that much Chinese, and you're not going to get immersed into the culture as much. But the pros are that you get to meet people from all over the world. So there are pros and cons to sticking with foreign friends or just sticking with Chinese friends. What I would say is it's quite difficult to make Chinese friends in China, especially if you're studying at a university, because they kind of like separate you. You live in separate dorms. Obviously, Chinese people don't take Chinese classes. Why would they? They already know Chinese. So you're not going to see them on a regular basis. You are going to see foreigners on a regular basis. That's who you're going to be studying with. What I would recommend if you want to make friends with Chinese people is join a sports team of some sort. I don't know, if you like ping pong, join the ping pong team. If you like, there were people who played ultimate frisbee, there were people who played soccer. Just search around for some sports teams, and there are almost certainly going to be some Chinese people in those sports teams. And it'd be a really, really good way to make friends, and then also just have friends that speak to you in Chinese so you can practice your Chinese a bit more. Also, you'll get to understand the local culture. They'll probably teach you some, you know, internet slang and all that sort of stuff that you're not going to be able to learn when you're in the classroom. So I think joining a sports team is really, really good. Another thing you could try is going to this thing called English Corner. It's actually quite common in China to have these little meetups that are organized either weekly or bi-weekly, where Chinese people come to these meetups, and I guess with the specific intent of speaking English with foreigners. So if you go there, you're going to meet a whole bunch of Chinese people. You can add their WeChat, you can go out with them to karaoke or just go out to eat afterwards, and that is a pretty good way to make some Chinese friends as well. All right, this video is getting pretty long, so thanks for sticking with me if you have made it this far in the video. If you have and you're finding this content useful, then hit the like and subscribe button down below. Do you need a driver's license to ride scooters? Short answer to this one, no, you don't. How easy is it to get a scooter? Can you buy them on campus? Yes, you can. I don't think you can buy them on campus, but if you go to Dongmen, just off campus, there'll almost certainly be a place nearby where you can buy a scooter. I think they're about 1,000 yuan or maybe a little bit more. Can't quite remember. Maybe 2,000 depending on where you are in the country. But yeah, pretty easy to go get a scooter and then you can drive it without a license. That is fine. Everyone drives them everywhere. Do you have any tips about doing social media in China? Oh my gosh, do I? This is probably my favorite topic to talk about recently because my whole life has been about doing social media. Well, I guess both on foreign platforms like YouTube and then also on domestic platforms here. This is a huge topic. I can't cover it here, but I would say that I have thoroughly enjoyed doing it. It's been a very, very fulfilling experience. Doing social media in China, I wouldn't say it's super easy, but I did experience a very rapid period of growth on my Bilibili channel when I first started making videos. And now it's actually kind of petered off a little bit, it's kind of plateaued, but you still get heaps of opportunities. And I've made friends with a lot of other vloggers here and we all go on trips together to different cities. We get invited by the local governments there to experience all these really cool events that you wouldn't otherwise experience if you're just going there by yourself. So it has been a very, very fulfilling and very eye-opening and unique experience for me. Social media is social media. There's pros and cons to doing it. I know it's got good and bad aspects to it, but yeah, it does definitely open the door to a lot of cool opportunities if you want to do it. If you, have any specific questions about doing social media in China or even just doing social media in general, you can leave them down below. I might make another video entirely dedicated to doing social media, how I make my videos, how I do my titles, my thumbnails. I'm no expert, by the way. I'm just drudging through here and just kind of figuring it out as I go, but I'm happy to share my experience with you guys and yeah, leave me a comment down below. Did you enjoy the experience overall and would you recommend it to others? Honestly, I was watching some of my old videos that I made when I first came to China the other day and it was just so nostalgic. I would say that coming here is not for the faint-hearted. You are gonna have ups and you are gonna have downs. I definitely had my downs, especially when I first got here. Some people did actually leave. I remember there was a guy who couldn't handle it, also a girl. They just decided to go back home. It was just way too stressful for them. And it can be, a little bit daunting if you haven't gone overseas before. If this is your first time going overseas, prepare yourself that it is not gonna be 100% easy. But if you have an open mind and you're willing to make friends with Chinese people, you're willing to try new foods, you're willing to just dive into all the activities that they have for you on campus, then I can 100% say that this was a super fulfilling experience for me. And I would 100% recommend it to anyone, even people like me who were in a full-time job. They're in their 30s and they're just looking for something different to do. They want to learn a new language and they want to do it all for free. Apply for the scholarship, man. Why not? It's always good to broaden your horizons. It's sometimes life you can feel a little bit trapped in the day-to-day and you just need something to mix it up. And going overseas and having an experience like this is definitely one way to do it. So yes, I would recommend it. Long answer short. All right, guys, I hope you got something out of this video. If you did, subscribe down below. If you want to know how I managed to study Chinese for free through the Confucius Institute Scholarship, then check out my step-by-step guide right here in the corner. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.